Good evening, everybody. I'm Fictional Crystals, and Shiro is going dark. Shiro has always had bad luck with the series. Within the first few minutes of the first episode, he was already getting beat up. At the end of season 2, Shiro went missing. He later returned in season 3, or did he? There is something off about the Shiro currently with the team. We saw him in Galra captivity, but he escaped so easily compared to the last time he was with them. There were 2 Shiros in captivity, and the operation was known as Kuron, which means clone if you translate it from Japanese. Looks-wise, there are subtle differences between the Shiro currently with the team and the Shiro from seasons 1 and 2. And no, I am not just talking about his awful outfit, although that is a big red flag too, because they wouldn't drastically change his design if they didn't want to differentiate him from the real Shiro. For instance, his hand glows differently. From the elbow down, his whole arm used to glow purple. Now it's just his hand. The time between his disappearance and when Keith found him could not have been long enough for his hair to grow that long. The way he was acting with Keith too. The episode after he was found didn't even start with him on screen, and he told Keith to just deal with the consequences of something. Really, the only argument I see people have against him being a clone is that he was able to pilot the Black Line again. We have to remember that a clone is essentially a copy and paste. In media, clones will typically have a very similar personality and traits as the original, unless they're trying to be funny. All of Voltron's lions can have more than one paladin, and all of them have. A paladin simply needs to be able to fit the lion's requirements. Clone Shiro still has the real Shiro's personality and memories, so he would still match Black's needs. I could certainly go further into this, but I won't in this video, since we do have some other stuff to go over. My point is, this is definitely a clone. But what does this mean for the team? A rift is forming between this Shiro and Keith. They lead differently. They don't agree on how to handle things. Shiro's been pushing Keith, making him very uncomfortable. Regardless, Keith and Shiro were very close, and clearly had been for a long time, but they have a power imbalance, and season 3 and 4 made that more prominent. That's when something really started to happen between them. There were a few times in previous seasons where Shiro did have questionable behavior to Keith, yet Keith looks up to him. Keith does not want to lose Shiro, so he tries not to be too vocal on his feelings. When he did attempt to open up, he was shut down. This shot looks familiar. Shiro is the current Black Paladin and Keith is the former Red. Before Keith became the leader, he was the second in command, and Shiro was the leader. Before they were the Red and Black Paladins, there was Alfor and Zarkon, the original Red and Black Paladins, unless you count Keith and Lance from 80s Voltron. Zarkon and Alfor used to be the best of friends, until Quintessence came into the picture. Zarkon and Alfor disagreed on what to do about the rift and the dark creatures. Onerva and Zarkon wanted to continue with it, despite the damage it was doing to their planet Daibazzal. Alfor saw the problem with this. They got into fights. There was a literal rift.
The rift.
In their last moments as a team, Alfor had to lead the others in red, since Zarkon was down. After that incident, Zarkon turned fully dark. These dark creatures infected him. The once good person who was best friends with Alfor became evil and killed Alfor. Notice the parallel here. The parallels between them were absolutely done on purpose. The original Paladins are meant to mirror the Paladins from season 1, meaning Keith, Lance, Hunk, Pidge, and Shiro, since Allura wasn't a Paladin in season 1. Zarkon was Shiro's mirror, Alfor was Keith's, Trigel was Pidge, Blates was Lance, and Gurgen was Hunk. Blates was flirty like Lance. Gurgen dug into the food like Hunk. Trigel was the only female Paladin. Alfor impulsively ran into a place with a sword. And you see where I'm going with Zarkon and Shiro. Visual similarities and lines were present as well. Keith and Shiro used to be so close, but they've been growing further and further apart. The dark creatures that went into Zarkon, we've seen them before. The Baku Garden in the episode The Depths. This was first noticed by the Tumblr user currently on screen. The mermaids were eating from the garden, causing them to get mind-swished. There was a sea serpent in the Baku Garden. This was seen as the main threat in the episode, but there was a bigger threat underneath it. Look at that, it's the dark creatures from the other reality. This was the thing mind-swishing people, not the serpent itself. The serpent was on it. It too was being affected by the dark creatures. The last thing Queen Luxia remembered before she got mind-swished was an organism from space. It wasn't the sea serpent. Why would an underwater creature like that fall from space? What fell from space was a dark creature, the same kind which caused Zarkon and Onerva to lose their minds. It made them bloodthirsty. The dark creatures have a purple glow to them. We could see this glow from Zarkon's eyes, and from Haggar's magic. also the druid's magic, and Shiro's hand. It's property of the Galra Empire. The people who gave it to him were Haggar and the druids. Because he was their champion, they experimented on him.
You could have been our greatest weapon.
Shiro has dark energy from the druids and Haggar in his hand, and it's been there for a long time. Who knows how this could affect him? When it first activated, it hurt. It made Shiro scream in agony, like when those dark creatures entered Zarkon. What if Shiro ends up going down the same route as Zarkon? The Shiro clone escaped so easily from captivity because the Galra wanted him to escape. They didn't follow him to the planet he crashed on. This Galra was just smiling when he saw that. They wanted the Shiro clone to escape, because they want him to take down Voltron's Paladins from the inside out. These aliens were right not to trust him. He himself and the other Paladins may not know he's a clone, but the Galra sure do. They're going to get opportunities to use the Shiro against the other Paladins. He's already been messing up Keith. In Season 1's final, Haggar transformed into a dark Shiro. This could be foreshadowing what's to come with him. Other cases of potential foreshadowing could be these in the episode The Blade of Marmora, when this Mindscape Shiro was yelling at Keith and then left him. It's one of Keith's greatest fears, and it is going to happen. And of course, this line right here.
Both part of the Galra Empire.
In Season 1, they foreshadowed Keith being part Galra with this line.
You fight like a Galra soldier.
Saying things like that do have meaning. Zarkon's the leader of the Galra, Keith is part Galra, and Shiro, well, we'll see. Let's just hope Shiro and Keith's relationship doesn't end as badly as Zarkon and Alfor's. But anyway, thanks for watching and save Shiro 2K17.